Hey folks, it's Peter Sprygada. I'm sitting here at Cisco Live, day three?
Day three.
Whoa, day three. I'm here with my good friend John. We're coming to you live.
My own perspective, 2 years ago, I was the only artificial intelligence session in the entire catalog for Cisco Live. 2 short years, I don't think you can take 3 steps without hearing AI somewhere, right? So to see the industry rapidly catching up and rapidly adopting this opportunity, let's call it, is very exciting to me. Peter, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, it's funny, I made the comment that I look around at all the booths here and you can't find a booth that doesn't have AI plastered on it somewhere, right? But it's exciting to finally see organizations really starting to get involved in this thing. This thing is moving so fast right now and we need all hands on deck. Right?
Yeah, and it's not just hype, these are solutions, right?
They are, and that's what really makes this exciting. I mean, super exciting. I've had a chance to walk around, I've seen some of the demos. It is really great to see real use cases materializing with AI kind of being the backdrop behind it. You know, I think, when we look at what happened, last year with the introduction of MCP and, then Google following with A to A, I mean, this is taking us to a whole new level of craziness.
Yeah.
That is the only way I can describe it.
But it's like the mid to late 90s again, and what's going to drive it is protocols. That's what's exciting as a network engineer, because we deal with spanning tree protocol, OSPF, BGP. All these things are protocols. So now your MCP can talk to my MCP with little to no friction because we're dealing with protocols.
Absolutely, it's like we all grew up in this space, we all got BGP down, we've all got OSPF down, and now we get another protocol to add to the toolbox, and that's what it's all about. It's adding more tools to the toolbox.
Well, I think rightfully so, there's a growing concern or a lingering concern about security. Right? Security is paramount, and MCPs, I mean, we can use environment variables to secure them, but that's why I like the excitement of agents, because we can tie agents to OAuth or other authentication mechanisms to fingerprint and secure those solutions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that is really kind of the next step in this revolution that we're having around AI. It's good to see that we're thinking about security now, because for far too long, security has always been that afterthought we tried to bolt in later.
Right.
So it's nice to see us thinking about it up front for once. So, that's an interesting question, because I don't know if it shifts their role so much as it, like I was just talking about, right? It's more tools in the toolbox, and it really allows them to become much more innovative in terms of how they want to think about operations and engineering and ultimately network design and leveraging some of these capabilities. But what do you think?
I agree. It's opening up the possibility to use your higher level reasoning, your higher level function, your domain specific knowledge. I mean, we're worried about the outcomes, not have you memorized every CLI command for the past 25 years, right? Employers are not hiring you because you've memorized the command, they're hiring you for your experience and your skill set and what you bring to the table. I love this idea of a digital coworker, an AI colleague that we can work collaboratively with.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it really does change so much as I start to think about how I can leverage, to your point, that digital colleague. And the thing I really love is that digital colleague is online with me at 3 in the morning when I'm working, right?
Right. And they never yawn, they never sleep, they don't have a family to worry about, and we don't even have to pay them.
That's great. Now if we could just get them to make coffee for us. Now we're getting somewhere.
I think as we start to augment, and at Selector we call it a network language model, right? We can fine tune the parameters of a foundational model to actually understand our network. And if it can understand our network, what you're describing is only a step away for it to generate configs based on a source of truth, and then to kick off an Itential workflow that communicates, opens up ServiceNow tickets, closes the loop on automation. It's a really remarkable opportunity.
It is, and we talked a lot about what's going on in MCP as a protocol that's really enhancing tooling capabilities. There's no better example than seeing the MCP server we built on top of Itential that's actually allowing all of this to happen. So now we've got all the goodness that Selector's doing, and we can attach that through MCP and expose all of Itential's capabilities so that we can become now that engine that actually goes out and touches the infrastructure and makes it all real.
Do you feel like MCP is going to be similar to Lotus 123? In that, one, it's a killer app that everyone's going to have, but two, it's going to democratize in our case, network engineering, like there's not less accountants in the world now 30 years after Lotus, right? There's probably more.
Absolutely.
But it's democratic.
It's
Anybody can do basic accounting. And I feel that anybody from your CCIE, your CCNA, maybe your CTO, your CISO, can use their own language and talk to these systems.
I couldn't agree more. Although I have to admit, I hadn't thought about the Lotus 1, 2, I hadn't thought about Lotus 1, 2, 3 in a long time. But that was a great analogy. It really was. I think because it really kind of brings the whole thing together. It really helps organizations to understand this is not technology to be scared of, right? This is something you can step into. You can work through it, and really start to leverage what we're providing through these tooling to really kind of change how you're approaching what you're doing.
Yeah, and not to be recursive, but you can use AI to learn AI. So there's no excuses. You have no reason to not start your journey today.
Well, I think first and foremost, and this is true for any technology, you got to start by getting involved. You absolutely have to start by getting involved. Read the stuff that's out there. Write stuff, just do stuff. I used to talk about this a lot with automation. It's like, just try it, right? It doesn't cost you anything to try it. Just get going with it, give it a shot, see what you can do with it. You'll be amazed, because the light bulb will start to go on, and all of a sudden, there's no stopping once that train leaves the station.
That's right, and you don't have to take a 3-year dedicated community college program to learn Python anymore, right? Here's a fun exercise for you to try at home with some vibe coding. Open up VS Code with a blank file, open up Copilot and say, please create asteroids using Pygame. The LLM will rewrite that video game for you in a second.
I did not know that. I did not know that one. And that is great. Now, unfortunately, I do use Vim, so but I am old school in that way. But I am going to try that one for sure.
So we have these puzzle pieces, and it's not just a cute metaphor or a fun piece of swag. Selector is doing the detection of the problem, and we can automatically, collaboratively hand that off to Itential to remediate and kick off workflows that involve multi-AI, ITSM, ServiceNow. Peter, what about else? What else can we do?
Yeah, I mean, we can touch network devices no matter how we need to get to them, but the key is we can keep those guardrails in place. We can create that buffer zone so that your AI isn't going crazy on your infrastructure.
Right. So we can keep humans in the loop, where a human has to authorize with their own expertise before it proceeds, or as we gain trust, it truly could be a hands-free closed loop automation.
Well, yeah, and this is where it becomes super important, because as you know, right, we start making changes to infrastructure, it's not good enough to make the change. We need to make sure that the change took.
Right.
And we need to check that and validate that everything still looks good.
That's right. So that it comes back over to Selector, we do the validation with a trace log with hyperlinks to the ServiceNow ticket, back to Itential for full audit traceability.
And really then at that point, you've now reached a state where you've now become fully automated, you've now closed that loop, and now you are really looking at a whole new way of operating your infrastructure leveraging AI.
And I know people are probably having a hard time believing us. A port could get shut that should not be shut, and in less than a minute, our closed loop will bring that port up and notify you with all the details. So you literally get a notification that a problem was detected and solved.
And that is absolutely the key point. The problem was found, but it was solved. We've closed it, we validated it, and you're off to the races.